If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Hey everyone, welcome to the latest edition of the Business Outlook podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Garcia, retail and real estate reporter at the Journal. I'd like to start off by thanking our sponsor, C&M. Today on the show, I've got Chance Robertson, the CEO of Flix Brewhouse. Today, we talk about his rise to CEO and Flix Brewhouse's upcoming expansion in Albuquerque. Enjoy the show.
C&M is truly one college with infinite possibilities in tech and data sciences. C&M offers programs where everyone can learn about software, apps, or how to build websites. You can also choose from AI programs and machine learning, the Internet of Things, and so much more. C&M, one college, infinite possibilities, and a proud sponsor of the Albuquerque Journal's Business Outlook.
Hi everyone, I'm joined today by Albuquerque native Chance Robertson. He's the CEO of Flix Brewhouse, a Texas-based dine-in movie theater and brewery chain that came to New Mexico through a single location, so far, on Albuquerque's west side in 2016. We're going to talk about his journey to CEO and Albuquerque's second Flix Brewhouse that will be opening soon. But before we get into all of that, take a moment to introduce yourself to our viewers, maybe share a memory tied to your New Mexico roots, and just your educational and professional background before becoming CEO of Flix Brewhouse.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and big fan of Albuquerque, and Flix is a big fan of Albuquerque. So, for me, I was born here at Presbyterian Hospital way back when, and then lived in Carlsbad, New Mexico for a while. My mom grew up in Clovis. She was born in Des Moines, New Mexico. That's a deep cut, as someone told me yesterday. It's a very small town. So I've got lots of roots here. Growing up, even though I've spent most of my time growing up in Tennessee and Texas, summers were always in New Mexico, and winters as well. So skiing in Taos, summers in Angel Fire, spending time in the lovely, lovely town of Clovis, where a lot of my family's from. Just so many core memories. And the minute I fly in and get back into New Mexico, I just kind of breathe a sigh of relief because it truly feels like home. So very excited to be here and talk to you guys today. In terms of my background, certainly was a hospitality guy growing up, a restaurant guy. Graduated from the University of Texas in Austin, and then, kind of went right back to my career in hospitality. I started as a busboy at 15 and then went to school to just go right back to restaurants. So kind of took a circuitous path into the dine-in cinema world through restaurants. And I've been with Flix since 2021, where I started as the COO and then was promoted to CEO about a year later. It's been a really fun ride, and we're excited to keep it going.
Awesome. Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question. Can you share kind of how you rose to the position of CEO of Flix Brewhouse? How did that opportunity come about, and what did that path look like? Yeah,
so we're a founder-based company. Our executive chair and founder, Alan Reagan, is a brilliant, brilliant man. He's still very involved and works with us day in and day out. But he was the original CEO of the company. And, obviously our industry specifically, but I think every industry in most of the world was greatly affected by what happened in 2020. So as Flix came out of that in 2021, as things started to restart, it was a pivotal time in our company's history. And Alan, we had known each other previously through our connections in the industry. And as he looked to kind of transition the company into the next phase, he brought me in, and then, as COO. And then I did a good enough job, I guess, to be able to rise to the occasion and get the promotion to CEO about a year later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So for those who may have never been to Flix Brewhouse yet, how would you describe what makes it special and what it adds to the theater experience?
Yeah, so I think all of us are looking for a little bit of a step up in our experiences these days, right? It needs to be a little more interactive. There needs to be a little bit of an additional, feature in whatever we're doing and how we spend our hospitality dollars, our experiential dollars. And I think what Flix does really well in cinema is it makes it more of dinner and a movie, right? And obviously we have the brewery, the Brewhouse. We make our own beers. They're delicious. We win so many awards. We could talk about that. That could be a whole nother podcast, how great our brewers are. But, what's really nice about it is that it's just so comfortable. You come in, you sit down, we serve you at your seat. We bring food to you. We prepare it fresh in our kitchen. The beers are made on site. We have some decent cocktails and wine as well. well. And of course, we still have all the classics that you love from the movie theater growing up, whether that's popcorn or candy, or nachos or anything like that. So again, it's just a little bit more of an additional experience for the cinema goer. And it's really comfortable. It's really nice. I mean, I could go on and on about how great it is, but ultimately I think what it boils down to is that added component of the food and beverage beyond the delicious popcorn and candy really takes it to another level. And then our hospitality is second to none. Our team does an incredible job taking care of our guests when they walk through the door.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to go yet, but
That's
I'm really
tragic.
looking forward to it.
We have to change that.
Yeah, my parents, they went on a date night and they were like, highly recommend.
Good. Well, it's good. I'm glad that they advocate for us, and I hope to see you there soon.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Flix Brewhouse opened in Albuquerque in 2016,
That's right.
So how has the dine-in movie theater and brewery chain performed in Albuquerque?
Incredibly. Yeah, I think, when we opened in Albuquerque, we were received with just completely open arms. This was our fourth location, I think, third or fourth location. Sorry, I want to make sure I get that right. And it just took off. I mean, of course, there's always a little bit of people getting to know you. But ever since then, I think one of the things that's one of the coolest stories of this location is, of course, New Mexico. We were forced to stay closed for a majority of the pandemic. When we finally reopened, we rehired 96 of our team members within hours. We had over 10,000 likes on our Facebook page when we announced our reopening. So it's just a really cool indication of how much the city of Albuquerque and the community of Albuquerque has embraced Flix Brewhouse throughout our time here. And we're really excited to kind of expand on that footprint as we move forward.
Yeah. So it was in 2023 that Flix Brewhouse announced that it was opening a second location in Albuquerque's east side, around the corner of Indian School Road and Tramway Boulevard. So what made the company decide to open a second location in Albuquerque, and why was the formal Regal UA High Ridge Theater ultimately chosen as that for the spot?
So I think going back to what we were just discussing, the thing that we always said prior to finding the second location was, we wish we had more seats. We wish we had more screens. It's really cool when you can have something that people enjoy so much, and you have a team that does such a good job executing our vision, and those two things come together. So we've always just been really busy in Albuquerque. And we also know that Albuquerque is kind of a town where you're either on the west side or you're on the east side. So when this opportunity came up, it just made too much sense for us, right? This is a little bit smaller footprint than our original location. The one on Coors has 9 auditoriums. This one will have 7, a little bit smaller brewery, a little bit smaller kitchen. But beyond that, it's exactly the same. So for us, it really felt like an opportunity to get those more seats and those more screens, and to get to the other side of town where some people have never, been able to experience Flix because they just don't go over to that side of town as often. So we just couldn't be more excited. And it was such a perfect opportunity for us, because of the fact that it's, just far enough away. And it's that other side of town where we feel like we can not only bring our brand to folks that maybe have been driving across town, bring it a little bit closer to home, but also, open ourselves up and bring a lot of new guests in. Yeah.
And it's located next to Hinkle
Family Fun Center. Yeah. So, which is cool. I mean, again, it could be a great Saturday for the family. Go to the Hinkle Family Fun Center, come to Flix, or send your kids to the Fun Center, come over to Flix and have a beer, or both. I don't know.
Yeah.
So many options. Yeah.
So when the plans for the second location were announced in 2023, the company was aiming for a spring 2024 opening at the time. What factors kind of contributed to that shift in timeline, and how did you and your team navigate through those?
We were incredibly ambitious and optimistic. And I think ultimately, anytime you get into a construction project, there's a lot of surprises, right?
Yes.
And this one was no different. This one certainly has taken a little bit longer than some of the others, but I think what that really can be attributed to is this is a really old building. It was built, I think, over 30 years ago, and we kind of took it down to just the walls, right? I mean, it was in essence kind of like starting over. So when you start down that road, you think you know what you're going to find. We had some great help with our architects and our contractor, but there were just a lot of little surprises and things that we had to adjust to. And then, of course, there's always the added element of just other things going on in the company and making sure you open at the right time. We certainly would have loved to have been open a lot sooner, and we're really close now. But I think ultimately it just came down to we were a little ambitious. And then, of course, there were some more skeletons in the closet than perhaps we realized as we started on this project.
Yeah, so, permitting, zoning,
it's
right. whole hoopla.
But it's, again, I would compliment the city. They've been great with us. It's been very, of course, we understand that everyone working at the city is doing their job and making sure that when we open, it's safe, secure, and sound for the guests that come through the door, for the people that work for us. And, we feel like we've been good partners to them, and they've been good partners to us. And so we're just really excited to almost be finished.
Yep, almost there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the work you guys did, how much work went into transforming this former theater into what sits there now? Tell me about the renovations that were done and what people can expect in the finished product.
Yeah, I'm so excited for those folks that were going to the United Artists Theater before it closed to come in and see how much it's changed. I think they'll be very happy. Of course, there's always going to be that nostalgic factor where we all remember that theater we grew up with, and this one's going to be very different. But it could not be more different, right? I mean, the auditoriums are the same size, and we took one of the auditoriums and turned it into our kitchen. We shrunk the size of the lobby so that we could put our brewery in. So when you walk in, it's a lot more vibrant and lively, and obviously a little more modern. And then as you move into the auditoriums, we've got a recliner at every seat, which is really awesome. So just very comfortable. A tray table there for you. Of course, we've got a call button, so if you need service, your server can come greet you and take care of you. We put in brand new laser projectors, digital, the most advanced technology that's really out there today in terms of digital projection with lasers. And it's just such a incredible space now, and it feels like a Flix, right? So if you've been to our other location, this is kind of the evolution of, right? I mentioned that the Coors location was our 4th. This is now our 11th location. So you can see kind of how we've evolved a little bit. But at the core of it, it's still that same experience that everyone that's been coming to Coors or has been to Flix before will love and enjoy.
Yeah.
So much more modern, a lot nicer, but still, just a movie theater, man. A really comfortable movie theater.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Makes sense. So the email I was sent said the location will be opening soon. You mentioned opening soon. Yeah. Do you have an opening date yet, or can you share when the theater is expected to open? I can say that
we will be open in the first week of May.
Awesome.
But I just, again, as we get down to these final inspections, we want to make sure that we're cognizant of any other potential surprises we might encounter. There's a couple critical items that we're still waiting to arrive that we want to make sure we have before we open. So I would say best case scenario, maybe the 1st or 2nd of May, but certainly in that first week of May, we'll get the doors open.
Gotcha.
Just in time for summer movie season. There's some really good ones coming out, so it should be a lot of fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
So after all the hard work and anticipation, how does it feel to be this close to the finish line, and what are your hopes for the second location?
Yeah, I think there's a range of emotions. Certainly, overwhelming excitement is the number one thing. I think, yet again, Albuquerque has just been so gracious to us in terms of just even hiring, right? We've been able to hire over 125 team members in a really quick amount of time, and we're really happy with the ability and the quality of the team member that we're bringing in the door. So again, it's always cool to see that, and I'm most excited for that first day, best day, which is something we do at Flix, where we bring everyone in and kind of get them excited and introduce the company, and of course run through some policies and procedures, but more importantly, just start to build that camaraderie that makes it, that makes our hospitality more authentic, I think, than a lot of what we see out there today. Although I think there's some others that do it really well too, of course. So we're really excited for that. But again, overwhelming excitement would be number one, and then a little bit of anxiety as you get down to the finish line of just making sure that all the details are exactly the way you want them and everything comes together perfectly. But I know our team will do a great job, and that'll without a doubt happen sometime in that first week of May.
Yeah. You mentioned team. Do you know how many have been hired so far or will be hired to staff that location?
It's over 125 already. So our management team has been, we had our hiring center open about 2 weeks ago, I think is when it started. And we were just hiring very quickly. So we'll be over 125. Of course, our business fluctuates a lot. When it's busier, we have more team members. And then when it's slower, we have a lot of seasonal team members. They may be in college or they're home for the summer, or they're artists or they're musicians, or this is just their part-time gig. And that's what's one of the nice things about, our industry is that it is very easy to kind of come and go. And, we have our core team that's there all the time that, some of them have been with us. I think I get the privilege of signing and addressing anniversary letters to our team every month. And I think in Albuquerque, we have some folks that have been there for 8 or 9 years in Coors. So excited to kind of start that journey with the employees over here on the east side as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, last question. I have to end it by asking you, what is your go-to movie theater snack, as well as maybe your personal favorite dish or craft brew from Flix?
It's the hardest question to answer. Of course, we have great popcorn. It's incredible. I think all of us think immediately of popcorn when you talk about a movie theater. But again, going back to what we talked about earlier, one of the great things about Flix is it's just a great meal. I'm not going to say that we're the best restaurant in town, but I'm going to say that you're going to come in and have an incredible meal every time you walk through the door. So for me, it really depends on what I'm in the mood for. I love our burgers. They're great. They're filling. Our French fries are out of this world. Our pizzas, we make our own dough. We do our own sauces. Of course, we've got your classic pepperoni. So really for me, it's hard to decide when I come in, even though I could eat this food every day, and I eat it more often than I probably should. But it's really hard to decide. But I think if I had to really pin it down, I would say I'm absolutely going to get popcorn. I'm probably going to do candy. We do kind of a bigger cup of candy instead of like a package of candy, so it's enough to share, which is really nice. Or You can just eat it all yourself. That's fine too. No judgment. And then in terms of our beverages, it absolutely is our craft beer. So we have 4 beers that we brew all the time. My personal favorite is our hazy IPA, but our Mexican lager is, I think that's probably our most awarded beer in the last few years for sure. And then what I'm always looking for is what else has the brewer made recently, right? What's the newest batch that they've come up with? Each of our brewers, so we have our brewer on the west side, and we'll have a different brewer on the east side, and each of them will be doing different beers at different times.
Oh, wow.
So I always come in and immediately go to that rotating or new, the beers that we've recently made, and that's usually where I start in terms of beverage. And then of course, the popcorn, the pizza. But I could go. Every menu item, it's all so good.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say, but you can't go wrong without a doubt.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to trying it. I think that's all I had for you today. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing everyone. Again, first week of May, check on our Facebook page. We'll announce it as soon as we can. And again, we're thankful for the opportunity. So thanks for having me today.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.